Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the world of some of the most overlooked yet absolutely incredible organisms on our planet. They're green, they're fuzzy, and they've been around longer than the dinosaurs. That's right, we're talking about moss. Now, when you think of plants, you probably picture trees with deep roots, flowers with vibrant petals, or maybe the vegetables in your garden. But what if I told you that the humble moss is one of the true pioneers of plant life on Earth? It's a living fossil, a time traveler that has witnessed the rise and fall of countless species. Let's rewind the clock, way back. We're talking about 450 million years ago, during the Ordovician period. The continents looked completely different, and the land was mostly barren rock. There were no forests, no grasslands, not even a single flower. It was a harsh, empty world. But then something amazing happened. The first plants made their way out of the water and onto the land. And who are these brave adventurers? You guessed it, the ancestors of modern moss. These early plants were nothing like the complex ones we see today. They had a revolutionary yet simple design. See, moss is what we call a non-vascular plant. That sounds technical, but it just means it doesn't have the complex internal plumbing, the xylem and phloem that most other plants use to transport water and nutrients. So how does it survive? Instead of having true roots that dig deep into the ground, moss absorbs water and nutrients directly through its tiny leaves. This might sound like a disadvantage, but it's actually moss's superpower. This unique ability allowed it to colonize places where other plants couldn't even get a foothold. Think about it: bare rock, thin soil, the bark of trees. Moss can thrive in these challenging environments because it doesn't need to tap into a deep water source. It can patiently wait for rain or even just absorb moisture from the morning dew. It's the ultimate survivalist. And here's where it gets really mind-blowing. Moss didn't just survive on the early Earth, it actively shaped it. As these tiny plants spread across the barren rocky landscapes, they started a process that would change the world forever. Through their life cycle, they release weak acids that slowly, ever so slowly, break down the surface of rocks. This process, called biological weathering, is the very first step in creating soil. Over millions of years, as generations of moss lived and died, their decaying organic matter mixed with the tiny rock particles they had broken down. This mixture formed the very first thin layers of soil on our planet. It was this soil that paved the way for every other land plant that followed. Without moss, the evolution of ferns, conifers, and eventually flowering plants might have taken a completely different, much slower path. They are the true architects of our terrestrial ecosystems. They built the foundation, quite literally, upon which all other land life stands. So when you see moss growing on a rock, it's not just a patch of green. It's a community of tiny engineers continuing a job they started 450 million years ago. They are breaking down minerals, creating new soil, and providing a habitat for countless tiny insects and microorganisms. Mossy landscapes are like miniature forests, teeming with life. Let's take a closer look at their structure. What we see as a lush carpet of moss is actually a dense colony of individual plants, each called a gametophyte. These are the little leafy stems. But the story of their life cycle is a fascinating tale of two parts. Moss has a unique two-stage life cycle called alternation of generations. The green, leafy part we all recognize is one generation. Then, under the right conditions, it produces a second generation, a slender stalk with a little capsule on top, called a sporophyte. This capsule is like a tiny pepper shaker. When it matures, it releases thousands, sometimes millions, of microscopic spores into the wind. These spores are incredibly resilient. They can travel vast distances and lie dormant for long periods, waiting for the perfect moist conditions to germinate and grow into a new moss plant. It's an incredibly effective strategy for spreading and colonizing new areas, one that has clearly worked for hundreds of millions of years. Now you might be wondering, if moss has been around for so long, what kinds of things has it seen? Well, it witnessed the first fish crawling out of the water. It survived the asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs. It endured multiple ice ages, watching glaciers advance and retreat. While giant empires rose and fell, moss just kept on growing, quietly and persistently. It's a testament to the power of simplicity and adaptability. Today, there are over 12,000 different species of moss found all over the world, from the steamy jungles of the Amazon to the frozen tundra of the Arctic. Some live entirely underwater, while others can survive in the driest deserts by entering a state of suspended animation, waiting for the next rain. In Japan, the appreciation for moss is elevated to an art form. In many traditional Japanese gardens, moss is carefully cultivated to create a sense of tranquility, age, and natural beauty. The practice is known as kakadera, or moss temple, where entire landscapes are carpeted in various shades of green. It's a beautiful reminder to appreciate the subtle, quiet beauty in the world around us. Moss also plays a crucial role in modern ecosystems. Peat moss, for example, which is primarily composed of sphagnum moss, forms vast peat bogs that are incredibly important carbon sinks. These bogs store more carbon than all the world's forests combined. By locking away carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, they help regulate our planet's climate. They also act like giant sponges, absorbing massive amounts of rainwater, which helps prevent flooding and maintains water levels in surrounding areas. But despite their resilience, mosses are also sensitive indicators of environmental health. Because they absorb water and nutrients directly from the atmosphere, they are very susceptible to air pollution, particularly sulfur dioxide and heavy metals. Scientists can actually study moss samples to measure the levels of pollution in an area. When moss starts to disappear from a forest, it's often one of the first warning signs that the environmental quality is declining. They are the silent sentinels of our forests. So the next time you out for a walk in the woods or even just in your backyard, take a moment to look down. Find a patch of moss. Touch it, feel its soft, spongy texture. Look closely at the intricate details of its tiny leaves. Remember that you are looking at one of the oldest and most successful forms of life on this planet. A pioneer that transformed a barren rock into a green world, a creator of soil and a guardian of our climate. Moss teaches us a valuable lesson. You don't have to be big and loud to make a huge impact. Sometimes the quietest, most humble organisms are the ones that hold the world together. They remind us of the beauty of persistence, the power of simplicity, and the incredible interwoven history of life on Earth. They are not just weeds or simple plants. They are the ancient, foundational pillars of our living world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the incredible world of moss. I hope you've gained a new appreciation for these amazing plants. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite type of moss or a cool moss story. Until next time, stay curious.